Hello there, YouTube. JT here. So, first off, obviously, I am driving for this video. I figured I wanted to touch a few points. In my last videos, I've discussed, things that I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna talk about, how to start channels and this and that, and in future videos. And I decided I'm not gonna do that. There's 1,000 videos of people out there already doing that. I don't need to. One thing I will say is so far on my journey, I've noticed, I've only made a couple of videos, I think maybe 5-6 videos, and I get pretty much no views at all. With all the AI videos out there and the way the algorithm is, so far from what I'm seeing is it's almost impossible to get your videos to be seen starting out. Excuse me. I know you can get ads and, try to send your videos to people and stuff like that to get people started. I haven't done any of that. I'm just throwing them up and seeing what happens. So I'm going to test the theory of just starting to post on a more regular basis. I have issues with it. I have lots of ideas for videos. However, I have a very hard time of getting myself to actually go through with them and do them. Because I just have so many different ideas and I'm not sure what I want to do. And I've discussed, I'm going to buy the equipment to start editing my videos. And then I just started thinking, you know what? I'm not going to do any of that. There's so many video channels out there already doing all these things. And I don't want to just fall into the category with everybody else. So I'm just going to do myself. I think better when I drive. I can't stand just sitting around looking at a camera. I don't know, it just makes me feel uncomfortable and just strange. I don't know. It's not me. I'm not a big tech person. I love, being outside and just whenever I'm driving and looking at scenery and everything, I think better. So I'm going to do my videos a little differently than most people do. I'm going to just throw it up. Hopefully you guys can hear me good and the quality is good. I might try to make sure I have a little bit of a better setup as far as making sure people can hear. But that's what I'm going to start doing for my videos. And I'm not going to edit my videos ever. I've talked to people, I've watched videos, I've been doing studies lately on trying to find, things, and I've seen videos and people that, they'll reshoot their introduction 15 times before they get it right and keep editing it, and to me that's just crazy. And it's, there's so many fake things out there nowadays, fake stories and fake videos, and just everything's just BS. People are like, oh, it's so easy to make a channel. Okay, well then show the real authentic footage. Don't edit everything out and get a bunch of different help and from other people and then sit there and say it's easy. Yeah, sure, if I had $100,000 in my pocket and I could pay people to edit all my videos and advertise for me and draw in a bunch of fans, and all I had to do was sit here and talk and pay people to make sure it got out there, yeah, then it's gonna be easy, isn't it? But if all you got is your cell phone and a dream, it's not so easy, especially if you have trouble with ideas or talking or whatever your case may be. So I just basically decided I'm gonna just start kind of doing this, I'll throw my phone on the dash here and I'll just drive, focus on the road. Obviously, I'm not gonna be staring at the camera the whole time, but, and then just think and talk. And I'm not gonna edit it, like I said, it's gonna be authentic, it's gonna be real. And I'm going to start going over and talking about my addiction. As I've stated in the past, I have so much information on addiction, it's going to be a series. Because if I post it all in one video, no one's gonna watch it. It would be a several-hour video. But I do want to help people, and I've been through everything you can imagine with addiction. You know, from me being a child that hated addicts and thought it was a choice, to me becoming an addict and denying it, and then becoming a dealer and trying to get out of it, and doing things that would appall even myself, you know, like the childhood version of me would be like, oh my God, there's no way I'd ever do that. And then seeing that I actually grew up and did it, I'd kick my own ass, you know? But that's how addiction is, and I get so tired of the way it's handled. You know, you hear all these people saying, oh, it's a choice, or that person doesn't want to, or, you know, that person failed multiple times, they're never going to get better. And, well, the system is designed to not help. First off, you got so many people that have that mentality, which really pushes everyone down and makes them start to believe it, like, oh, everyone's right, I'm a failure, I can't do this. You know, so that puts people in a rut, in a tough spot as far as them being able to succeed. And then, on the other side of it, you got the law. If you get arrested, you get charges. It's hard to find a job most of the time. If it's drug related or alcohol related, most of the time there's a DUI involved. You lose your license, you have no transportation, you're on probation. You're supposed to get a job and pay fines and go to meetings and go to rehab and go to this and go to that. But going to all these other things without a license is difficult. Plus, when you have to try to hold down a job, but you got to call off all the time because, oh, well, my PO says I got to do this and this and this, so I can't come to work this day. Most companies aren't going to be okay with that. You're not going to have a job very long. Then you're going to lose your job. You're not going to be able to pay your fines. You don't pay your fines or do what your probation wants, you go back to jail. So a lot of times people get in that situation and they're like, okay, the only option I have is to sell drugs so I don't go back to jail. I'm just going to do it temporarily till I get back on my feet. Well, now they're around the drugs again, so they're right back to using. It's a vicious cycle. And I'm not saying that it's all on everybody else's fault. No, hell no. We make choices. That's all it is. Our choices put us in those situations. Our choices either lead us in the right direction or not. But I'm saying that the way the system is and the way society is, the way the law is, it doesn't help. It doesn't make it any easier in any way. That's all I'm saying about that. However, I will say that it can be done, no matter how tough things are. Whenever I got arrested, I was lucky. My grandma and my grandpa let me live with them. My grandma made sure that no matter where I needed to get, I would get there. If I had to be at court, if I had to be at a meeting, if I had to be at work, like, she made sure I did it. And that made it so much easier for me. I don't know if I'd be here in this situation that I'm in today if it wasn't for her. And everybody doesn't have somebody there for them like that. So I'm lucky and I'm grateful and I'm blessed. But it still can be done. You know, there are resources out there available. If you have enough drive and enough willpower, you can do it. The fact of the matter is you need to want it. And you need to be willing to cut people out of your life. I had to get rid of my wife. I had to get rid of my best friend. And people are like, oh, those aren't your friends. They're just your using buddies. No, me and this guy have been friends since we were 5 years old, long before drugs ever came into the picture. We spent pretty much our whole lives together as brothers. He was a friend. Doesn't mean I had to keep him in my life or was able to keep him in my life, though he's still using. And at first I thought, well, I can help him get sober. No, you can't. No, you can't. Maybe if you got 5 years clean, then maybe you can help an old friend. But when you first get clean, the odds of you helping somebody else get sober instead of them pulling you back into drugs, it's pretty much astronomically low. it's going to go that way. And you just have to decide, what is more important, getting your life on track, yeah, some people have help and it's easy, some people don't, and it's really tough, but at the end of the day, it's on you, and if you make the right decisions, you can do it. It's just like everything else I see out in the world. You got so much craziness going on, and like all this drama going on right now over this Sydney Sweeney ad. I watched that ad and I had no clue what people were talking about, why people were so mad. It's a beautiful girl showing a little bit of cleavage, doing an ad. Whoop-de-doo. Nothing we haven't seen a million times. So then I start looking into it, like, why are people so upset? And then everyone's saying that it's Nazi propaganda and this and that. Nothing Nazi ever even crossed my mind when I saw it, as I'm sure most people didn't. And everyone's like, oh, they're talking about how she has blonde hair and blue eyes. Okay, one of the commercials she said about her eyes being blue, and they're talking about jeans. It's supposed to be comical, and they're using a sexy woman to sell a product. Nothing that it hasn't been done for 25, 30 years, If it would have been an attractive gay man with blonde hair, blue eyes, saying the exact same thing, they wouldn't be complaining. If it would have been a transvestite or, somebody from the LGBT, whatever, that had blonde hair and blue eyes and was attractive, saying the same thing, they wouldn't be complaining. They are just simply looking for something to complain about. And I saw a ton of videos of people complaining. Find one person that was attractive complaining about it. They're just ticked because they don't look like Sydney Sweeney. And hey, I'm not saying I'm attractive by any means. I don't think I am, but hey, we all gotta deal with the cards that we're dealt, And I just think that society today is just crazy. I mean, that's all there is to it. That's why I decided, I'm just gonna start doing my own thing and saying my own thoughts. And I named this channel Unpopular Opinion for a reason, because I typically don't go with the flow of everyone else. I remember growing up, things that were popular, I didn't like it because it was popular. Somebody'd be like, oh, have you heard this new band? And then I'd hear 30 other people, oh, this new band. I never even heard that band, but guess what? I don't like them just because everyone else does. Now, 90% of the time, I'd end up listening to that band down the road, and I was right. I didn't like them. With the exception of Eminem. Eminem was really popular for a while, and I didn't like him because he was popular. And then I heard him for the first time, and I was like, okay, this dude's awesome. So I became a diehard Eminem fan. But most of the time, I don't like what everybody else likes. And I've been, like recently, I heard something about Doja Cat, a big popular artist, apparently. I don't know. I've never heard of her. And apparently, I live under a rock. Like I said, I don't follow social media and all the craziness going on in the world. So I didn't hear of this person. And I don't listen to the radio because most of the stuff I like isn't on the radio. So I looked up this Doja Cat. Like, what's all the hype? Everyone seems to love her. Oh my God, I wanted to freaking throw my radio out the window. It sounded so bad. Again, that's my opinion, but it's just, it's so easy for people to fall in line, As human beings, we want attention. We want to be loved. We want to fit in. So a lot of people just jump in line, like, it's popular, I gotta like it. Everyone's doing it, I gotta do it. Everyone says this is what's, real and what is the case, that must be true. Like, okay, perfect example. Everything going on with all this, you can identify as what you want. I haven't seen a single person give a good, valid argument as to a definition, like you see them arguing the definition of a man, definition of a woman, or why you should be able to identify as a cat or whatever you want and blah, blah, blah. Like, I have not seen a single valid scientific argument or a legitimate argument. They just say, well, it is what it is. That's not an argument. That's an argument a 4-year-old would use. But most of the time, the people they're debating have good scientific evidence or reasoning as to why they think that it's incorrect. And that my point is simply, you throw all these young kids into a society and you're sitting there saying you can be a man or a woman or a cat or a dog, or you can do this or do that, you can be whatever you want, and all you got to do is just say that's what you are. And then you can go start on these medications that'll affect your hormones, and they cram all this stuff into kids' throats, and they see nothing but this stuff on the news and on social media, and hear it in the hallways. And these kids, the kids are impressionable. They start to believe, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I need to do. This is what I need to do to fit in, to be cool, to be loved. So then they all start going down that path. And, I've seen one or two people, like, higher ups, big people that are saying, oh, well, the studies are showing that it's great for their mental health and this and that. And what studies? If this is a new thing, it's only been going on for a short period of time. You cannot tell me that there's any accurate, good, long-term studies. In the short term, yeah, you're absolutely right. But what about when these kids grow up and mature and their brain finally is fully developed and they realize that they hate their life and they made stupid decisions just to go with the flow, and then they kill themselves? That's another study they don't tell you, is how suicide rates are going through the roof. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I think that people should do what makes them happy. I think that it should be what makes them happy, not what everyone tells them, not what is cool. Just do what you like. Do what makes you happy. Who cares what anyone else thinks? Who cares what anyone else says? And I don't think that what any of us like, what I like, what you like, we shouldn't be cramming it down other people's throats. I'm making these videos not to cram any of my beliefs down anybody's throats, just to voice my opinion and say what I believe. And I'm making these videos, like I said, I'm about to start my addiction series. I'm actually going to stop this video pretty directly and start a new video that's going to be the beginning of my addiction series. But I'm making these videos just to talk and get a discussion going. Hopefully I will get a fan base going and followers and get topics out there to get people talking, because that's what I want. I want to get people talking and maybe make a difference, whether I can help somebody with their mental health or with their addiction, or just feel better about themselves in any way. I have a lot of life experience to bring. I've made a ton of mistakes in my life and done a lot of really stupid things, and I have learned a lot of lessons that I can share with people. And that is what I'm here to do. I'm not here to bash anybody else. That's not entirely true. I'm not here to bash what anybody else believes or thinks is true. I will probably bash many things on this channel as far as things that I see going on in the world, because I think that people just do a lot of stupid stuff and go with the flow, and that I will bash. That behavior I will bash. Individuals in general, I try not to attack any individuals in general, but I mean, it is what it is. And this isn't going to be a political channel or anything like that. May I bring up a political topic once in a while? Sure, maybe. But for the most part, I'm just going to talk about life and real stuff. And with that, I think I'm done with this video. I'm going to go ahead and stop that and start shooting a video for the addiction series. So, yeah, that's all I got for this one. See you next time.